I record a lot of music and make a lot of YouTube videos with pedals and effects, and I've come to discover that any piece of gear can sound good. Literally anything. You can make any piece of gear sound good. And in this video, I'm going to show you 5 pro tips for doing that. And just to prove that I'm not taking the easy way out, all the gear that I use in this video to demonstrate whatever little thing, all of it is going to be pedals that have a mind of their own, or pedals that can spiral out of control, or pedals that are unstable in some way. Pro tip number 1 is the sandwich. If you have a pedal that is glitching out and making a lot of sounds that you think might be unusable, the first thing to try is to just let it be that, but then put a bass line under it and a melody on top of it, and see if that doesn't transform it completely. Now, the glitchy part in the middle of this sandwich, that's already going to be pretty wild. So this is a good time to let the melody be cute and let the bass part be not confusing. But if you do that, sometimes those can transform the middle of the sandwich into something that sounds like you're a genius. So for the example you're about to hear, I'm going to make a sandwich with the 20% from Fairfield circuitry. This is a brand new analog wave shaping distortion that really mangles your signal. It's not hard to find settings on this where it'll start to like try to arpeggiate to nothing. You hear how it's like kind of trying to find notes that like almost aren't even there? I sat on that and made a sandwich out of it. By the way, if you want to buy any of the gear in this video, I have affiliate links you can use that'll give me a small commission on anything you buy. I'll put the affiliate links in the video description. Money. Pro tip number 2 is if you ever get a sound where the notes crap out too quickly to be usable, that is usable. You just have to put a delay on it and then use it rhythmically. So in the example you're about to hear, I'm using the ZVEX Fuzz Factory. If you've ever played with one of these, you know it's not hard to get a setting where it's like overgated. It's like each note it produces instantly dies in this little like Velcro getting ripped off death. Okay, but I'm taking that and putting a delay on it. And the delay I'm using is the new EC-1 from Strymon. I had this set up just to give me like a dotted eighth note sound. The thing I like about that is that it's like a hi-hat part, like a percussion part that has notes in it, like but with notes. But to make a hi-hat part interesting, you don't want every note to be the same. So when you're playing in a setup like this, it's good to like eat some of the notes, like let there be some gaps in the rhythm, and also introduce some accents so that not every note of the is exactly the same. If you can play like that with a sound like this, it can produce a really amazing hi-hat. For pro tip number 3, it can be good to keep your eye on the chord progression at all times. Sometimes you can use weird gear just to like represent the chord progression of the song you're in, and just let the weirdness of the gear breathe new life into the chords, even if you're just playing the chords very straightforwardly. By the way, anyone who's watching this video and is thinking it's really just about arrangement and composition more than pedals is 100% correct. So for the example you're about to hear, I'm using Onward from Chase Bliss. This pedal has a setting where if you send it a chord, it'll just immediately take the chord and start to repeat it in this like inhuman way. At times like this, I like to use a sound like that to recontextualize something that's very classic and that you might think we're done hearing that, and then I like to bring something back and prove that we're not done quite yet. So for this example, I'm covering an Elvis song. Pro tip number 4 is one easy way to make any weird pedal sound great is to double track it with a different pedal that sounds great but isn't weird. So for this example, my weird pedal is the Data Corrupter from Earthquaker Devices. I love how this pedal sounds, but anyone who's played one knows that anytime you play a note, there's no guarantee that you can get from like the birth to the death of that note without having something fucked up happen. But that's okay. I'm going to let that be what it is, and I'm just going to double track myself with the Benson Stonk Box, which is just a gorgeous sounding fuzz. No surprise, those two sounds together are incredible. For pro tip number 5, I want to talk about noise. You might have heard me say this before on my channel, but I consider noise to be the final test for any musician. Regardless of what instrument you play, if you can make noise sound good, then I think you're serious. And just to be clear, when I say noise, I don't mean something that's like ugly or like something that's atonal. In this case, I mean literal white noise. So for the example you're about to hear, I'm going to use the Vongon Replay synth. Now this can be set up to play noise, where every note just produces white noise. Now you might be thinking, who cares? But the pro tip is if you have a filter that can get resonant enough, you can carve a note out of that noise. And the Replay has a filter like that built in. As you can hear, the result sounds kind of like a xylophone, which I think is cool. So for the example you're about to hear, I start with the xylophone thing, but then I bring in overdubs where I'm using noise and the Replay synth, but I'm varying how much I'm using the filter to carve a note out of it. So some of the notes you're going to hear are like half note, half noise. And I think that's a cool texture.